Hi everybody, welcome back to another reading video, which I am very excited to be filming. The last one went over so well. I love talking about books. I love sharing what I've read and what I plan on reading with you guys. So I figured I would just go ahead and do what I read in September. I read 8 books, which is my record. It's totally my record. I don't think I've ever read, except for maybe when I was a kid, more than 8 books in a month. To be fair, one of them is a short story collection. It took me about 30 minutes, but still, 8 books in the month of September. I'm really excited to talk about all of them, and I do also have my October TBR next to me here, which is also 8 books. A little ambitious, but I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and talk about everything I read in September. So the first book I read this month was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I read this book because I recently joined a book club with some friends, and this was the pick for September. It was actually my pick, and I was really excited to read this one. I've heard a lot of really good booktubers talking about this, saying it's very thriller-esque, and I was really interested in giving it a try. I ended up giving it a 4-star. Also, I just realized there's a blurb here from Alex Michaelides, which is the author of The Silent Patient, which I'm going to be talking to you about, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I really wanted to read this. I heard it was a really good thriller. It was something that I was really interested in. Like I said, I did give it a 4-star because it was crazy. So this book is about Casey, who was an actress, I guess, and had like an alcohol problem and went to, or I guess was like sent to her family's lake house for like a little bit to sort of rehabilitate. And you kind of learn a little bit more about Casey's backstory and why she turned to alcohol, some of her, like a little bit of her childhood, not too much. And there's some things in her past that you learn about, which are kind of, I would assume, to be plot twists. But she's at this lake house. It's been her family's lake house for years, and a new couple, a more like famous couple, moved to the house across the lake, which is like an all glass house, which, like, first of all, why would you want a glass house? I don't know. I'm too paranoid. I don't think I could. But she ends up sort of saving the wife. The wife is drowning, and kind of sparks up a little bit of a friendship with the wife, and ends up kind of spying on them at night because you can see directly into the house and see some like turmoil in the relationship. And then something ends up happening to the wife. She goes missing, and Casey sort of takes it upon herself to figure out what happened. So she enlists a couple of people. You learn a lot of new things. A lot of different like elements are happening. Twists are happening left and right. And then the major plot twist was, like, I would assume maybe like halfway through the book, and it's totally not what I expected. I think the author sort of manipulates you in a way to think you know what's going on, and then once that major plot twist happens, you had no idea. So I had heard, I'm not going to spoil anything for any of these books, I'm just not going to. I was actually thinking about, I don't know if this is a possibility, but if you guys are interested in potentially once a month doing like a live YouTube video where I go over all spoilers of these books and we chat about them. We'll see if that's a possibility. Let me know if you're interested in that, side note. But I had not known that it was going to go that way. Apparently Riley Sager, the author, a lot of the elements that happened towards the end happened in a lot of their books. So I didn't know that at all until after I'd finished and read some of the Goodreads reviews, but I really liked it. I thought it was really different than the typical thriller. It was really fun. It made me want to pick up more Riley Sager books, which I actually need to do. I have a big book haul coming in a couple of weeks, next week. I don't know, I need to film it still. But I also want to buy more books. It's bad. So yeah, I really liked this. I thought it was really fun. The beginning was very slow, but you know, you're setting everything up. But all in all, I would totally recommend. If I had not completely spoiled the entire thing for my husband, I would have recommended him read this. Maybe in like a couple of months when he's like forgotten it, I'll recommend it to him because I think he would really enjoy this. But yes, I read The House Across the Lake, 4 stars by Riley Sager. Really enjoyed that. So the next book I read, I'm actually going to combine with the other book that I read in this trilogy, because I read the next book, I read a couple of books in between, and then I read the last book in this trilogy. It is the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I read the second book, which is It's Not Summer Without You. This is by Jenny Han. And then the last book, which is We'll Always Have Summer. So I don't think I'm ever going to say this ever, but I think personally that the Amazon show is better than the book. And I don't know why. I hate saying that. It makes me feel weird. First of all, love these covers. Super cute. And then I have the first one back there. I love the spines. They look so pretty on my shelf. So did I talk about the first book? I don't know. The first book was okay. If I had not watched the show, I don't think I would have understood the first book at all. I feel like the way that she sets up the characters is weird. It's just, you don't really have an understanding of the characters. So second book, I think I gave it like 2 stars. It was okay. This entire book takes place in a week's time, and you learn a lot of things, but it's like a lot of useless information, and it's mostly setting you up for the third book, which I think I gave 3 stars. To be honest, this series, it's just not for me. I think I'm happy to own these because I think my girls are really gonna like these when they get a little bit older. They're very easy, quick reads. Very YA romance, but like, I don't know, I feel like I've read better YA romance. They're okay, but so basically what these are about is Belly, who is a teenager, and she goes to this summer house with her family and another family every summer since she was a kid. The other family has 2 sons, Jeremiah and Conrad. She's been in love with Conrad her whole life. And then like it ends up, the summer she turned pretty, it ends up being like between Jeremiah and Conrad, so which is like an ideal situation, like 2 hot brothers, you know. But my personal opinion, I don't really like Belly. I think she's very naive, and I get it, it's a teen romance, but she just, you see her thoughts, and in both of these books actually, so the whole first book is her thoughts and like first person point of view, but these 2 books you get like Jeremiah's point of view and Conrad's point of view as well, and I liked that. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I liked that, and just because I wanted to get out of Belly's head. Like, she's annoying. Like, I just didn't like her. I don't know, she just didn't vibe with me. I felt like the author almost ruined Jeremiah's character in the third book, because I really liked him in the first and second book, and then the third book, I don't know, she just kind of ruins your image of him, which makes me sad. I will say I did enjoy the whole ending of this series. It made sense. It was cute. But do I recommend you read the entire series just to read the ending? No. But if this is something you're interested in, possibly. If you like this show, you won't like the books as much, but it will give you a better backstory and set you up for the next few seasons. So I read these. 2 star, 3 star, I guess. I don't know. So speaking of romance, I read a book. I get it. So I read this book because BookTube highly recommends this as one of the best romance books they've ever read. And will I stand behind that? Yes. This was a 5-star to me. So this is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren, it's 2 different women, 2 different authors, but I get it. This is so cute. So I read this book in 2 days, but hardly. I would say like 26 hours. Like, I started it in the car pickup line, continued it that night, and then the next day just finished it because it was so cute. I love this so much. So this story is about Macy and Elliot. So Macy and her father have a summer home where they visit every once in a while. They got this house when she was like 13, I think, and Elliot lives next door with his family, so they kind of quickly become friends. And she has this like dope closet that's like essentially a library, and they lay in it and read books all day and talk about their favorite words that they're learning, and it sort of blossoms into friendship to like lovers, which is really cute. And then something like major happens, and they go 11 years without talking to each other, and then they run into each other one day in like a coffee shop and sort of kind of rekindle the friendship a little. The way this is written is so good. So this is written, every chapter goes back and forth. So you start in the now, which is them 11 years later, and then the next chapter goes to the then, and then it goes back, and then it goes forward. So that way you're kind of seeing how their relationship blossomed, and then see it sort of rekindling, but you still don't know what the major like thing that happened was that kind of tore them apart. And I liked that a lot because it made me want to keep reading. It made me want to know more. This was so cute. Elliot is like perfect, like the perfect guy. And Macy is so, like, I love her character too. Like, there's no like grumpy sunshine trope. They're just both like normal people that you relate to, and it just feels so good. It just feels so good to read this. It's such a good love story, so cute. I recommend this to like everyone, literally everybody. I'm even gonna recommend this to my husband because this is such a cute book. I feel like I'm totally gonna look up more Christina Lauren books because I love the way this was written. Super easy read, obviously for me a super quick read, but I just fell in love with these characters, and I totally feel like I'm going to reread this in the future because I loved this. This was so cute. This was a 5-star for me. So speaking of 5 stars, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the ACOTAR series. This was a big one. ACOTAR, I think, was like 400 pages. This was 600 and some, and then I have the next one behind me, and it's like 700, so it's getting bigger and bigger. When I started the ACOTAR series, every single person told me, you're gonna love the second book, and yeah, so I read the first one. I loved it. Like, I love the world building. I love getting to know the characters. I really enjoyed the story, and like I said, I loved the characters. And this book just, it times 1,000 that. It made it feel, it made the first book feel good because I liked it at the time when I read it, but now that I read this, I'm like, oh, but this is so good. So A Court of Mist and Fury, I don't want to spoil again anything because if you haven't read the first book, you're not really gonna, I just don't want to talk about this because this completely not undermines the first book, but a lot of different things are happening. A lot of characters that you met in the first book that you were like about become ones that you like about. I love this so much. I loved all of the new characters you meet in this book. I loved the storyline. I will say, for a 600-page book, the plot moves quickly, like very quickly. You're getting a lot of information, but it's not too much to digest at once, and it's really fun because the story is constantly moving. So this, it just continues your story with Feyre, continues where it left off in the last book. Lots of great character development with characters that you sort of meet in the first book, and the story is so good. There's a whole chapter like, how am I going to describe this? Let's see. So lots of character development, a really wonderful romance, a very like good, in my opinion, slow burn romance that lasts like 50 freaking chapters. Like the whole time you're like, oh my god, can you guys just kiss? And then you get to like the chapter and they do a whole lot more than kissing. It's a whole chapter of lots of kissing. It's so good. This book is just another, I feel, and like, I've only read the first 2 books of the ACOTAR series, but I feel as though I am absolutely going to reread this series soon. Not soon, in the next couple of years. But this is so good. I loved this one so much. Next one is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's not on my October TBR because I need to give myself a little bit of time to digest what happened at the end of this book. But yes, 5 stars. This was incredible. I recommend this series to basically everybody. If you enjoy fantasy, if you enjoy a little bit of romance, it's very good. Then the next book that I read was a short story collection. I have this, which is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is all 3 of the short story collections. I just read the first one, which is, I think, just the classic, yeah, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Then there's the More Scary Stories, and then there's Scary Stories 3. So I just read the first one, which was like 100 pages, and like I said before, I read it in like 30 minutes. This is, I would say, middle grade, honestly. Like, I feel like my kids could read. No, I mean, I wouldn't let my kids read this. I feel like this is something I would probably make my oldest wait until she's a little bit older, especially because they're like, you know, they're a little anxious. They don't like scary stuff. But this didn't really scare me, obviously. It's not meant for my age group. It was just fun. It was a little nostalgic. I didn't really love it. I think I might have even just given it like a 1 star because I was just like, There was one short story collection or short story in here that actually did give me a little bit, like, first of all, pictures are a little spooky, but there was one short story in here that actually gave me a little bit of the like the tingly feelings, you know. I read this High Beams, I literally read that as a kid. I remember that so perfectly, like perfectly well. But the one that like really spooked me, where is it? Oh my gosh, did I already pass it? Is it this one? Ah, The Hook. The Hook was pretty spooky. That was like the only one that kind of made me like a little scared, but otherwise it was just a fun read, quick and easy. If you want to read it, you should, but I don't like necessarily recommend it. I have this, again, this will probably go to my kids when they're a lot older. I don't know. I feel like this is just, I wouldn't say this is YA. Like, to me, this is middle grade. So it was good. That's how I feel. The next book I read, I was really excited to read because this has been recommended to me a bunch. This is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I gave this 3 stars. I would say maybe 3.5, 3.75, and I'll explain. So this book was good. It was a good book. It was an easy read. So this is about Alicia Berenson, who killed her husband, and then ever since killing her husband has remained silent. So she is in a psychiatric ward, and then you meet Theo, who is a psychiatrist who wants to kind of be her psychiatrist. So he like goes to work at the place that she's staying at and tries to see if he can get her to talk. Like, it's his like ambition. He wants to get her to talk. And the writing of this is really good. You move through the story very quickly. It's a very good like page turner thriller. I really liked it to a point. So the reason I didn't rate it any higher, which like is kind of, one of the reasons is my fault, but the other reasons are not. So one of the reasons is the big plot twist that happens that everybody talks about. Unfortunately, I feel as though I figured it out like 20 pages before the reader is supposed to. And once I sort of got it in my little brain, I kind of became annoyed because I wanted that surprise. Like, I wanted that to be like shocking for me. But because it wasn't, I was like, bummer. However, I do think if you go into this book and you just don't think about anything, like if you just like don't put pieces together, you don't like, you just don't let your brain work while you're reading, you're just reading, I think you'll be fine. But unfortunately, I figured out the plot twist. The other reason I kind of didn't rate this so highly was because, one, the ending sucked. Like, it really sucked. Like, the last like couple like sentences, I wanted more. Like, I wish the author would have kind of given us a little bit more. And then the other reason was you meet so many like side characters along the way that are very interesting and almost, in my opinion, are a little bit more pivotal in the story, and then their stories don't go anywhere. Like, you don't get any conclusion to their stories. It's just kind of like, it comes down to the plot twist, and that's kind of it. I felt like the ending was very rushed, is basically what I'm saying. I felt like the ending was rushed. I figured out the plot twist, but I enjoyed the writing and I enjoyed the ride. So like, reading it was great. It was fun and exciting, but the end just kind of didn't fulfill what I wanted. But I still feel like I would recommend this. Like, I still feel like this would be something you should read if you haven't read it yet, and especially if you're interested in it, I still think you should pick it up. Don't take what I'm saying as like, you know, anything crazy. Just, you know, go into it with an open mind, because that's what books are, right? Like, everybody has a different opinion. You go into everything with an open mind. Just go into this with an open mind. And the last book I read this month, I actually was gonna save till October, but it was next in my line, and I was like, let me just read it. And it is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This was turned into a movie that was, for me, just released yesterday, so it's on Amazon if you want to watch the movie. The trailer is really fun and exciting. This was a blast. This was so much fun. This, in my opinion, is like funny horror. It's not really that scary. It's I don't know, I just had a good time reading it. Like, it was fun and exciting, and the little blurb on the front said if The Exorcist had been authored by Tina Fey, and that's sort of how I feel. Like, it's a little bit like quirky and funny, and first of all, the cover and everything is so cool. This is so cool. So I read a Grady Hendrix book earlier this year. I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I gave it a 4-star, I think, because there was like one part in it that I really was like, don't love, but this was fun. I think I gave this a 4-star as well. I had a really good time reading this. This is about a group of girls in high school. It's mostly about Abby and Gretchen, and first and foremost, the first like 2 pages go into full depth of why this girl Abby is obsessed with the movie E.T., which I thought was so funny, like very 80s nostalgia. This almost, I feel like if you like Stranger Things, you would really like this, because it's like has the like 80s nostalgia aspect, but also like has the horror too. And so it's about Abby and Gretchen, and they're super best friends, love each other a ton, do everything together, and very quickly on, like I'm talking like 60 pages into the book, Gretchen becomes possessed by a demon, and it's just like kind of fun. It's interesting, it's a little spooky. There are some parts that are a little squeamish. Even for me, I was like, oh. But yeah, so Abby's sort of navigating her best friend being possessed, and she tries to exorcise, and it's really fun and exciting, and they're just like, I don't know, it's like there's, you know, she's going through lots of trouble trying to figure things out, and their friends aren't believing her, and things are happening to people around them, and it's really fun. It's just a good experience, a good time, and I really enjoyed it, and I totally recommend it, especially if you're a fan of horror. I think you would like this. I think this is kind of more of a fun, light read, but also I'm really looking forward to watching the movie now because I really like this a lot. So I think I gave this a 4-star. That was everything I read in September. Really proud of myself, very excited to move into my October TBR. I'm gonna go through these briefly. So my October TBR is 8 books because I'm ambitious. We'll see if it actually happens. And I have my book club book that was picked by somebody else, which is exciting. And I kind of stuck to spooky thrillers for this month because it's October and I really wanted to read something fun and exciting. I do have a couple of horror books behind me, but we'll see, because these are the ones I'm like really excited about. So the first one I am actually about to start reading tonight, I haven't started it yet, is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This is a pick that is from my book club. I have not read a Colleen Hoover book before. I know she is super popular right now, so I am looking forward to reading this. Like I said, I haven't even started yet. My bookmark is on chapter 1. So I read the back. It seems like a romance. It seems sort of like Love at First Sight. I'm not going to read this to you. Tate Collins and Miles Archer, they're basically friends with benefits. One of them falls for the other. It ends up becoming ugly love. So I'm looking forward to it. It's probably going to be my only romance of the month, I think. But I think it'll be a fun read, and I am looking forward to reading this one. I also just realized my TBR might be 9 books because I did just sign up for Book of the Month for the first time, and the book that I picked I think would be perfect for October. We'll see. Okay, so the next book I'm like really excited about because I've been wanting to read this for a while. This is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley this year and I really enjoyed it, and I've heard lots of good things about The Paris Apartment. As far as I know, this is about a girl who reaches out to her brother who lives in an apartment in Paris and says, I'm gonna come live with you, and then when she gets there, he's not there and he's gone missing. And you kind of, I think this is written kind of the same way as The Guest List, where each chapter is first person point of view from a different person in the building. So I think you're kind of trying to figure out who, what happened, what's going on here. It's really an exciting thriller. I like Lucy Foley's writing. I also just love this book so much. It's so pretty. Oh, loving the pink. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I think this one might be next on my list. I'm pretty excited. The next book on my October TBR is a Sherry Lapina book. I also read a Sherry Lapina book this year. What did I read? Oh, I read Someone We Know this year. So this is Not a Happy Family. Again, I feel like I didn't really read most of like the backs of these. I just kind of like saw these on BookTube and was like, this sounds good. So let me just read this really quick. So this seems to be about a family where the mother and father are brutally murdered and the kids are devastated, or are they essentially, because they are inheriting or about to inherit millions of dollars. It says they were never a happy family. What happened to the mom and dad? Seems like a thriller. I enjoyed the last Sherry Lapina I read. It was good again till the ending. I didn't really care for the ending, but I've heard really good things about this one, so looking forward to this one as well. This one I'm really excited about. So this is A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette. This is a cozy mystery. It literally says an ice cream parlor mystery. This cover also is so cute. I'm loving these like pink covers I have here. These are so cute. I'm really excited to read this one. So this is basic. Oh my god, her name is Bronwyn. My sister's name is Bronwyn. that's funny. And there's another one in here that I'll explain in a second, but that's funny because my sister's name's Bronwyn. And it's in Ohio. I'm from Ohio. I'm not from Ohio, but I was born in Ohio. Exciting. So this is about Bronwyn, who has just taken over her family's ice cream shop in Ohio, and she's renovating it, trying to make it like super cute and exciting, and then somebody ends up dying like outside her doors, and they're blaming someone in her family, right? Her father for the death. So she's trying to kind of figure out who done it while also maintaining this ice cream shop, and I think that's really cute, and I'm kind of excited to read this, and I just think it'll be a fun, cute, cozy mystery. Little sprinkles, like this is adorable. I'm excited to read this one. The next book on my TBR is Finlay Donovan is Killing It. I think this is the first in a series, I'm pretty sure. They're still writing these books. Again, I believe this is another cozy mystery, which I'm kind of excited for. I like that the back says it's murder being a hit mom. That's funny. So this book is about Finlay Donovan, who is a stressed out mom of 2. She's a writer, and she's trying to figure out what book she's going to write next. And while she's sitting with her publisher, or her editor, or somebody, her agent, over lunch, they're talking about the next book she wants to write, and someone overhears her talking about it and assumes that Finlay Donovan is a hitman or a hit woman, a hit person, and not an author. They assume what she's talking about is real and not a book, and that she's actually a hit person. And so kind of funny stuff ensues, and I think it says it's fast-paced and witty and fun and exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a really good book. Again, this is first in a series, so I'm excited to start a new series if I enjoy it. It says most moms are ready to kill someone by 8:30 a.m. on any given morning. Quite possibly. So I'm excited for this one. The next book on my TBR, like this video is gonna be so long, but I'm just so excited to talk about books with you guys. So the next book on my TBR for October is Alice Mimi's Rock, Paper, Scissors. This is a thriller that, again, I've been hearing all over BookTube. I've been really wanting to read this one. I heard this is really fun, really good, a very intense thriller. So this story, let's see. So from what I'm getting from the back, it's about a husband and wife. The husband has facial blindness, and he can't even recognize his own wife, and his wife is sick of feeling like he can't see her. So they win a weekend away to Scotland to go on like a little mini vacation. Come to find out, they didn't randomly win this trip. Someone is lying, some things are happening, and it's a thriller. So looking forward to that one. All right, the next book on my October TBR is another Grady Hendrix. Looking forward to it. This will be my 3rd this year. This is the Final Girl Support Group. I've just really been enjoying Grady Hendrix writing, and it's really interesting and fun. And there's another book I've been interested that's written by him called Horror Store. Reminds me of like IKEA. I don't know. It sounds interesting. But this is basically about final girls that have survived scary situations, and they have a support group, and then something happens, one of them goes missing, and it becomes a thing all over again. So another good thriller. Looking forward to this one as well. We are on the last one. I'm sorry. The last book that's on my October TBR is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a YA thriller, which I kind of like YA thrillers because I feel like they cut to the point really quickly. Like there's not a lot of unnecessary details. It's like in your face, ready to party. So this is another series, so I'm looking forward to this. I think it's a trilogy, and let's see. It says a popular high school senior was murdered by her boyfriend, and then he killed himself. It was all anybody could talk about. And then a girl that I guess was a freshman during that time is now a senior, and she's writing kind of her senior project on this case, and she's kind of like looking into it a little bit more, and it's interesting. I think she ends up finding out more things, and now her life is in danger. So another fun thriller. Looking forward to this one as well. That is my what I read in September plus my October TBR. It's a little bit intense, but I said this before, but I've just been like devouring books recently. It's been really, really fun and exciting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.